What's going on, Neck Nation? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Neck Roots Podcast. As you know, I'm Austin Davis. We've got an awesome guest with us today, Kenny Golladay. I've known Kenny for probably about 13, 14 years now. Kenny, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, originally I was, born and raised here in Mesa, Arizona. I've had, quite the journey bouncing around to different places, around the world and in the country and, have ran, multiple businesses and stuff. And my wife and kids were back here in Mesa, Arizona after a long journey.
There you go, man. There you go. Yeah, I've known you. I've known you for quite some time, and we went down to Mesa middle of last year and visited you guys, and then you lived up here where I'm at for quite some time. And I met you at Eastern Arizona College 14 years ago or something like that, and you were playing football for them, right? And then you came up here to and played for University of Utah and kicked the football around for them, and then you started a business, a gym, right? And then you were my personal trainer for 4 years or something like that while I was racing dirt bikes. And then you sold that and then kind of moved down to Florida and opened up a solar division. I mean, you've got a storied life, brother. You've got a lot going on.
A lot of headaches, but worth it though.
Yeah,
Makes me who I am today.
exactly. And so, we want to do something new on the podcast with our guests, and that is just trying to figure out what it takes to accomplish the things that the guests or yourself has accomplished throughout their lives, right? You've done some pretty incredible stuff and had some pretty cool achievements. So I guess, wherever you want to start, if it's at the playing football or whatever, but let's hear about it, Kenny. Let's hear what it takes.
Sure. No, I appreciate it, Austin. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to be on your podcast. This gives a lot of people kind of to kind of see a different angle of me. Most people here that I've been coaching and working with, and they see me as Kenny's our weightlifting coach at the high school, and he played football and he's married, and that's kind of about it. I really don't share a whole lot about myself, probably because I've done so many things that had made me who I am today. But this will give a lot of people an opportunity to listen to me and kind of hear my story and about who I am and what makes me.
Awesome.
Um, yeah.
So let's, where do you want to start? You want to start at football?
Yeah. Football has definitely been the biggest highlight for me. And, I played high school football here in Mesa at Mountain View High School. I have a pretty big background there. Broke a lot of records and just had a lot of awards and a lot of cool stuff that happened that took a lot of hard work. None of that came easy. And I think I learned that as a younger man to that no one's going to hold my hand and help me accomplish a lot of this stuff. I had to figure a lot of things out for myself and to reach my maximum potential. And but what got me into college football was actually after high school. I pretty much thought that I was done. My career was done, and it had been a few years since I had played, and I had a phone call from Mesa Community College, and they reached out to me and just said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming out and trying out? We're looking for a kicker on the team." And it probably had been about three years, and I hadn't really kicked a whole lot since then. And so I said, sure, why not? I'll try out. And there's a scholarship opportunity. And I went out. There was about 6, 7 kickers, and we had a little competition, and we each kicked about 15, 20 field goals. The head coach is watching us, and I wasn't really too nervous. That's I've just been in that situation so much under that pressure, kicking in front of people and all that stuff. I just didn't really care about that a whole lot, and things did work my way though. I didn't miss a single field goal. I missed
Nice.
0 field goals. Yeah, I made every single one. We went from the left hash, right hash, 35 yards, 40, 50-yard field goal. I didn't miss a single field goal. And three of the kids halfway through our tryouts, they just are like, yeah, you got the job, and they just quit and left. And so, and then it kind of went on. It went down to me and this other guy, and we were kicking. I didn't miss anything, and the other kid, he just looked at me and goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to get this." So he walked off, and the coach went, "Hey, would you like to be our starting kicker? And I'm going to offer you a scholarship." And so I said, "Yeah, no, that's great. I'll get the cleats back on." And that's kind of how that started. And I played junior college football for a couple years, and then I went up to Utah, had a campus visit with BYU, Weber State, University of Utah. And fortunately, University of Utah, when I went in and talked to their recruiter, they watched my highlight videos from junior college, and immediately he loved what he saw and just said, "Can you still kick like this?" And I said, "Well, I'm better than that now. I haven't stopped training. I keep going, and I'm gonna find a place to go." And he said, "No, we would love to have you here. Let's get you a locker." And they signed me up right there and became a University of Utah football player for 2 more years. And yeah, that's kind of how my football career continued. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, I'm thinking back to the time when we first met, and probably what a lot of people don't realize, and I don't know if the kids that you're coaching right now realize this, but we would go out at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning. I mean, we're talking AM, right? And you would be out there on the football field, and you would just be booting these things, dude. Crack of dawn, early in the morning, and you would practice and practice and practice. And you were already in junior college by this time, right? Like, you really didn't have anything to prove to anybody, right? You were already well on your way. And I just remember, like, you really never missed. And there were times where you're like, "Hey guys, like, watch this." Well, I don't think you were putting on a show, but you wanted us to see, like, what was possible as far as kicking field goals. Cause you watch NFL, right? And it's like, okay, 40 yards, 45 yards, 50 yards is a big deal field goal in the NFL, right? Nobody's really kicking past that. And you set this thing up like 75 yards out. In fact, maybe one time you even set it on the 25-yard line on the opposing side of the field, and you booted this thing, dude, and it echoed through that little junior college stadium, whatever we had out there, that field, it echoed and went right through those uprights, dude. And I couldn't believe it. And then I looked down at your shoes, and your boot, your kicking shoe, your cleat was stained red on top because you'd been kicking that ball so dang hard that your foot had started bleeding.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't remember how. I think I may have exaggerated a little bit, but it was pretty far. I don't.
Oh, dude, it was at least 75 yards, man. It was sailing, man.
I probably had a little bit of tailwind to help me
There you go. But it was huge. It was just insane how far away that was. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, I've always been passionate about football, and even in high school, this isn't even something that I love sharing this now, but even in high school, and I don't care anymore, but I actually made a key that I was able to pick the high school stadium lights, and I was able to pick the lock and turn on the stadium lights, and I would go to the high school field and this was my senior year. I would probably go about 4:30 in the morning before anyone was awake, and I'd go pick the lights. I'd turn on the stadium lights, and I'd go out and kick footballs for about 30 minutes. And cars would drive by, they're honking their horns, some of those early bird people, and I'd kick for about 30 minutes. 5 a.m. I'd shut the lights off. I'd go back home and go to sleep. It was in my blood. That's all I could really think about was football, football, football. I mean, day and night. It would keep me up at night. That's all I could think about. I was hungry about it, and I just wanted to be the best. That's all I cared about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, when you have your heart set on something, and it's, usually I have my heart set on a Snickers bar, and it's not too hard to get a hold of one of those. But when, when you have your heart set on playing football for, a Pac-12 team back then, and now we're in the Big 12, right? The whole big shakeup. But when you have your heart set for playing in a college at that level, right, it is everything, right? It takes everything that you have all your time, all your attention, right? If you want to make it. Would you say that that's kind of how it was for you?
Yeah, I mean, it really takes a lot. I mean, it's interesting, coming from the high school, everyone, just talks about, oh, how amazing you are. You were all state, you were this and this. Once you get to that level, I mean, you're surrounded by other guys who were told the same thing when they were kids. They were state champions, they were, all region, all conference, all this, and now you're surrounded by 100 guys that were in the same shoes. Now you're going, like, holy cow, like everyone is just as crazy as I am in this level. I mean, everyone on this team is obsessed with football,
Yeah,
and just, I mean, it is a completely different level than junior college or high school. I mean, at that level, you got some guys that you probably don't want to hang out with them on the weekends. They're a little bit more crazier than I was. But that's how it is at that level. Those guys, I mean, it's business. It's not so much just a game anymore. I mean, it's embedded in the brain. I mean, yeah, it's pretty wild once
that
you get there.
that's crazy. Um, well, I guess, from that point, so when you went all through your college years and especially at University of Utah, you were also working towards a degree, right? And
Yeah,
that degree kind of led into the next chapter of your life. So let's talk a little bit about, what you did for, what you were working towards while you were going to school and kind of how that led up to that next chapter.
sure. This was a pretty tough point of time in my life. As soon as football was over, it's almost like that identity of myself as the football player. It almost felt like it was taken away, and to where I was trying to discover who I was. And after playing football for 15 years, and then all of a sudden it stops. You don't really know who you are anymore, and it's a real thing. And so, I mean, you can call it a little bit of depression. I mean, you can call, man, those struggles. You're up all night going, well, what do I do now? What is that next step? And fortunately, I was able to marry my wife Annie, who's been the best the best companion I could ever ask for in this life. And she stood by me through every struggle that I've had, and post college. And but when we got married, we got married here in Arizona, and we moved to Utah. And man, I had no idea what the plans were. Career, I didn't know what to do. All I knew was football. And so I ended up getting a job working in a warehouse, manual labor. I was getting paid $12 an hour. I was filling up CO2 propane tanks and welding gas tanks, and helping shipping and loading semi trucks. And I would do that at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd get up before my wife gets up, and I would come home when my wife was getting in bed. I mean, that's how it
Jeez.
was Monday through Friday. I mean, it was just, I had three jobs. I worked in the warehouse, and then I drove to University of Utah. I had an internship. I was getting paid $13 an hour. I was working as an intern in academics, as an academic advisor. And then I went out and coached youth sports. And then I went back to University of Utah and ran study hall for the athletes, and getting paid, $11 an hour. And by the time I cleaned up, vacuumed the room, I mean, it's 10 o'clock at night. I get back home, my wife's already in bed. I'd
Oh,
literally not seen her the entire day. And that was Monday through Friday. And I mean, it was 3.5 jobs almost. And I did that for a couple of years, and to the point I started getting so much pain in my back, and I started getting all kinds of problems with my bones, and my hips started hurting. And I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating well. There was just so much stuff going on. And and that put a lot of strain on our marriage too. It's just, I wasn't hardly spending any time with my wife, and she's getting frustrated. And so, then it's just out of the blue. My family reached out to me. They knew I was working my butt off trying to just keep our family going. We didn't have any kids yet, but I wasn't making anything. I mean, we were just kind of just surviving. And I'm looking, is this me for the next 50 years? I mean, is
yeah.
this what I'm gonna do? And I just start, yeah, I'm going nuts. And my family goes, Kenny, you're so good in the weight room. You're so good at coaching and working with people. What? why don't you open up your own gym? And, I go, well, I did intern at University of Utah in the weight room for a couple years too. And I didn't get paid anything for that, but I did get a lot of knowledge. And, that was post football. And so my family, they lended me $5,000 and they said, go open up a gym like with
Oh
$5,000. And I go,
man.
well, I'm like, all right, well, I got to find the right landlord. I got to find the right space. That's not a whole lot of money for equipment. Um, so I go, well, all right. So I'm online searching and searching, and eventually I found this big building that was practically empty, but there was 20 empty rooms, and the landlord was pretty desperate to find some tenants. And I talked to him, and I go, hey, can I get one of these rooms? And he's like, well, you were looking for a big room? I'm like, no, I'm looking for a small room. I don't have a whole lot of money. I want to try this out for maybe a year. And if it doesn't work, I'll just call it quits. And I'm looking for a 1 year lease. And he could tell that I was, just wanted to try it out. And man, he would take anything that he could. And so he showed me this room in the corner and just said, this room's about 500 square feet. Sorry, there's broken glass everywhere. The walls aren't painted. It's all concrete. The carpet got ripped out. It's just, this is all I can give you. And I said, well, how much a month are you asking? He said, well, how does $400 sound to
Oh
start off with, and,
man.
and then we'll slowly start increasing. And I'm like, well, can you give me the first 2 months for free? I'm like, I literally have no clients. I have nothing. Like I am starting from ground zero. I'm working 3 jobs. I don't even know how much time I can spend in this place. And super nice guy. And he goes, yes, I'll give you the first 2 months. First month, just trying to get it all situated. Second month, and try to get some clients in there. So, I'm painting the walls. I install mirrors. I buy some rubber flooring, make it look really nice in there. The rest of the building looked kind of creepy because all the other rooms were empty. But so and I go online and I go to Amazon. I buy a bench. I get a bar. I get a couple dumbbells, nothing higher than 30 pounds because it got too expensive. And I had
Right?
some bands and a little fan in the corner. And I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was worse than a garage gym. I mean, it was just there was nothing in there. And I go, well, here we go. And I'm like, I don't have any clients. So I go online, I'm on Facebook, I'm trying to reach out to friends and families, and just no one's coming. No one's coming. And I reached out to this random guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but I reach out to him just on, I think it was Facebook. And I go, hey, do you want to come in for a free session? And he goes, sure, I'll come in. I don't know who the guy is. I'm just reaching out to random people.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's just like, yeah, I couldn't tell if this was the right place or not. Everything was dark. And I'm like, no, this is it. And he's like, all right. He's kind of creeped out because all the rooms were empty. It was pretty
Right?
creepy. And
Thought he
he
was gonna
comes
get
in and
thought he was gonna get hacked while he was there, man.
yeah,
It's like
oh, absolutely. No, it's a creepy place. And he comes in and we do a workout, just kind of a basic workout. And I didn't mean to do it, but he threw up his first session,
oh man.
and I was going, I just lost my first guy. He just pooped.
Yeah.
I pushed him too hard, and now he doesn't want to come back, and I'm like, I just messed it up. And he does the workout, goes home, and text messages me and says, hey, can I pay for 10 sessions in advance? And I go, holy cow. I'm like, all right. And just to remind you, I'm working all these jobs. This session was probably at like 10 p.m. too.
Oh
So it
my
was
gosh.
it was after work. I mean, I had no sleep, I had no food. It was late, and so he signs up, pays me for 10 sessions. And then so we start doing it a couple weeks in, then he tells a buddy of his buddy comes in, and now we're working back to back. And now that buddy tells someone else, and they're just saying, hey, this coach Golladay, he's really good. He knows what he's doing, and I can tell he really cares about me and all this stuff. And now I'm kind of sacrificing my lunchtime in the middle of the day to drive to the gym before I go to my next job. And so I'm squeezing that in. And then this person tells the next person, and then I'm getting referrals and referrals. And, before I know it, I have 5 or 6 clients. And then, you know, the craziest part of this is after 4 months of opening this little tiny closet gym, I had already matched the amount of money I was making with all of my other jobs combined.
Holy cow.
And that was a sign right there. Okay, Kenny, you found your niche in your life. You're a coach. You need
Yeah.
to continue on doing this. So I quit all 3 of my other jobs and I went full time on this. And my finance went up, but then it had a dip, so when I talked to Annie, I said, "Hey, I promise I feel like this thing's going to keep going up and we're going to dip financially because now I'm cutting off 3 jobs. We're going to dip down and we just got to stick with faith and hope and hard work that it's going to climb and pass higher than ever." And so I quit everything and yeah, we dipped down. I mean low, but I worked my butt off and we just kept going up and up and up to the point where I was now tripling the amount of money I was making with those other 3 jobs. I mean, it was booming. And so now I've got a TV in there, I've got a treadmill in there, I've got dumbbells up to 90 pounds, I've got all these plates, I've got all this fancy stuff that I want. I got a refrigerator, I got a bike. And so I just keep feeding the gym. I'm just investing,
Yeah.
investing, investing in it. And that way, when the clients are coming in, they're going, "Holy cow, look at all this new equipment. Oh man, like look at all this other stuff." And I'm going, right, right. It's getting exciting. And I got so busy that after the first 2 years, I was working from about 6 a.m. until about 9 p.m., just sessions back to back. And now we're running into that same problem. I'm hardly seeing my wife again. I don't have time for her. And I'm spending so much time coaching clients. I'm going, I need help. I need to hire help. And so then I hire my first employee and then we expand the gym. We grow another space and now I've got 3 employees and then I got 4 employees. And then after 4 years we go up and open up another place in Lehigh City. Now I got another gym there and then I hired a couple other people there to help out. And then so it just kind of kind of just kept on growing. But yeah, pretty amazing journey on how that went. And there's just to kind of back up a little bit, there was the timing on this was horrible, but I forgot to mention this. When I quit those 3 jobs to dip down and we were going up, um, half of my clients quit.
Oh man.
And yeah, a lot of people don't really say, Annie remembers this, but we were going up and I quit all 3 of those jobs. And on that climb up, half of my clients quit. And it wasn't because I was doing a poor job. It wasn't because, it wasn't a good system. It was, "Kenny, I am so sorry, but I got fired from my job." Or, "Kenny, I'm so sorry, but I'm moving out of state and I won't be here." Or, "Kenny, I'm running into financial issues, has nothing to do with you." I mean, it was in one week, I lost half of my clients and my income got cut in half. And that was probably one of the scariest moments of my life. Um, and but I didn't stop though. I kept working and trying to find people and just kept doing what I was doing. And eventually we were fine. But sometimes that happens when you're running your own business. Just little nasty surprises come out.
Yeah, I think, when you this is the stuff that you really don't understand until you get into it, right? You don't understand the hours, the time, the heartache, the stress, the risk, right? That goes into starting your own business or starting a gym or any of this stuff, right? There's so much at stake and it's all on you, right? You're the one. You either make it or you break it. It's nobody else, right? And that's one thing about you, Kenny, is just your tenacity, dude. I've always looked up to it. If there's something that has to be done and you're in control of it, it's whatever it takes, man, to get it done. So that's awesome. And I remember,
Yeah.
while I was training with you at the gym, at one point, I mean, it was booming, dude. You expanded the gym inside that building. You took up a whole nother room. You completely filled that with equipment, and then you opened up another location, right? And then you filled that. The location was 25 miles south of the one you had, and you filled that with equipment, and you hired on a bunch of other trainers, contract trainers, and had them training people. And I mean, it was awesome. And it finally got to a point where uh, you were gonna you were gonna sell, right? Because you guys were thinking of moving.
Yeah, yeah, that's it was expanding. It was on to this high point. I mean, our Google reviews, everything was just perfect. I mean, it was going up and up and up. And my wife and I, we were kind of ready to start another chapter in our life. And a lot of people go, well, Kenny, why'd you sell it? And I go, honestly, I'm ready to hand this over to someone else. I love it, but I'm ready to do something else. I feel like there's something else out there for me, and I was 100% correct about it. That's one thing that people have, if you know me long enough, I'm someone who chases after my own personal happiness. I'm never someone who just is complacent. I hate, just feeling, average. I'm always wanting to reach up and reach up and reach up, get to that next level just for my own personal growth. And my heart was just telling me there's something else out there for you. And it's time to hand this over to someone else who's passionate about the weight room. So it was a really hard decision. I mean, it was my baby. I grew it um, and it's, yeah, I knew I had a good thing going, especially through the whole COVID thing. There was about three gyms kind of around my area that ended up shutting down because they couldn't survive it financially. They just couldn't do it. And my clients were so loyal, and they just loved the gym so much. And I couldn't be more grateful for them. And they never stopped training with me, whether it was virtual or in person. Like, the gym actually did just fine. I and not to mention, I opened up my other gym location during COVID.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
right.
and I kind of joke around that with people. I'm like, man, I might be crazy, but I think I'm the only person who's probably expanding their gym during COVID when you're
Yeah.
not supposed to be doing any of that. But I didn't care. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's a confidence thing. It's if you just believe in it and just go full go, there's just nothing to be scared of. And there's a lot of people who just talk about their dreams and stuff. And I'm like, man, just stop talking and just do it. Just go
Yeah,
for it. And otherwise, you're going to have regrets. And if it fails, whatever, big deal, it fails, and move on to the next thing. And so that's just kind of my attitude towards it. I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go 100%. And I am confident that I'm going to make it work. And it did. And it did fine. And after the whole COVID thing, it just kept booming and people were coming in. But yeah, I did sell it and moved on, and we went to Florida.
yeah, yep. I remember that. In fact, my company, the one that I work for, is based out of Florida, and there was a time that I came and I was able to visit you when I was driving from Fort Myers up to Orlando, because I think you were down in like Davenport or something like that, and you were there. You were there for like a year, right?
About 11 months.
11 months, yeah. I remember that, and then that I guess that didn't turn out exactly the way that you thought it would. You definitely weren't coaching there, but how did that real quick? How did that work out?
Yeah, that was it was painful. I was hired on to open up a solar branch over there just, because I've been successful opening up my gyms and just managing, running a business and all that. So I got picked up for it, and the owner had all the faith in the world in me. Just, Kenny, you're gonna figure it out because you're that kind of guy. You'll figure it out. There's problems, you'll figure out how to fix it, and you'll do it. And he wasn't wrong, but it put a pretty big toll on me. I mean, we bought a really nice home there. We were next to all the Disney parks. Weren't too far from the beach, and it had all that. But it was pretty strenuous. It was a challenge to manage a lot of people. Had phone calls throughout the night. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. answering phone calls. Driving around Florida, going to different properties, doing a lot of inspections and stuff. That kind of started to wear me down, and the other part too is I really miss coaching. Not so
Yeah.
much the gym, the business, but I think coaching in general. The further away I became from that, I started to really miss it. I felt like there was something even more waiting for me out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that opportunity finally came, right?
Yeah, it did. It So I had a phone call. This is 11 months into Florida, and I get a phone call from the high school that I went to at Mountain View High School in Mesa. And I get a phone call from three different coaches, and then I get a phone call from the athletic director, and then I talk to the principal, and they go, Kenny, we've looked at your resume and you went to school here. We would love to have you come back and help us out in the weight room and help out with the football players. And would you like to come back? I know it's a lot to ask for. And the solar business was pretty strenuous. It was paying pretty well. And I knew that becoming a teacher and becoming a coach on campus, I would take a financial hit, a
Yeah.
pretty big one. But then again, that just kind of goes back to, what do I enjoy doing? What will make me happy? Because ultimately in Florida, I wasn't 100% happy. I really miss coaching, but now here's an opportunity where I get to work with teenagers. I get to work with the youth of the U.S. and I get to work with these young men, young women, and to help inspire them and just that opportunity itself. I go, man, this is worth it. I need to go. I need to go because I know I'll do good at it, and this will make me happy. So made that move, and so I've been here in Mesa and been coaching. It hasn't been quite a year yet. It's been a little over a semester. But I've been able to develop a lot of great relationships on campus at the high school. The kids have been excellent. Um, and yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I love what I do.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you got back to doing coaching and doing what you love, man. Talking to you now versus talking to you when you were in Florida, you could definitely tell that, that joy and that happiness has definitely come back into your life. So that's awesome. And that kind of leads right into the question that we always ask, right? Which is, Kenny, why do you feel like it's important to get back to and embrace your roots?
Man, I think that I think that all comes back down to who there's one thing that I share with people, and I don't mind sharing it with you guys and anyone else who's listening. And you can call me spiritual or religious or whatever you want. I don't care. That's one thing. I don't care what people think about me. I live
Yeah.
life the way that I want to, and judge me whatever. I really don't care. But one of the things that I always felt like, my purpose in this lifetime is, my calling is to coach and to inspire and to influence others. And I did that in, even as a teenager. I helped a lot of people around me, and I coached a lot of kids, and I've just done a lot of stuff to help people out, and I love helping. There's nothing more important to me than just helping and serving others, and so for me to start off that way and then kind of, I don't know, flood away from it, and not that the solar business was bad, but going into that, that wasn't me. I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my calling on earth. I feel like God sent me here to help and serve others, and being put into this position to come back here to Mesa, where I grew up, and being a part of this community again. It gives me that opportunity to help a lot of people here. And I knew that was the right decision, based off of the feedback that I got from a lot of parents. As soon as I moved back here, a lot of people remember me here, and they were so thrilled when they knew that I was coming back to Mesa. And they go, "Yes, Kenny's going to work with our teenagers. He's going to work with my kids." And we were so excited. And at that point, that kind of just confirmed to me more, like, hey, coming back to your roots, coming back here was the best decision.
When I talked to you when you were in Florida doing that solar thing, I knew that this was something that you wanted to venture out and try. And it wasn't all bad, dude. There was a lot of experiences that you would learn, and you told me about that. But, there was just something about it that it didn't quite seem like the Kenny that I knew, right? And so when you told me about that opportunity to go back and start coaching again, I was like, you know what, dude, this is Kenny's calling. So I love that. That is textbook what it means to get back to your roots, right? I mean, and this happens to all of us, right? And I'm probably going through it right now. In fact, I'm not probably going through it. I can tell you I'm going through it right now. Like I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my roots.
That's all of us. That's all of us.
Yeah, it is all of us. But, get back to the things that I love. And you've gotten back to the thing that brings you joy and brings you happiness, and you've recognized that and realized that. And I think, that's the message for all of us, right? Which is, when you get back to doing those things, when you get back to embracing your roots and kind of letting those guide your life, right? It's just easier to attain that happiness, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's and this is a pretty important quote that has stuck with me for so long. And this is what kind of drives me a lot. I think about this all the time, but Denzel Washington actually gives a really good quote. He said, the last thing you ever want is for you, when you're older and you're in your deathbed and you're surrounded by your ghost of ideas, and these ghost of ideas are looking at you in your deathbed going, why didn't you bring me to life? You had so many opportunities to bring me to life. Why didn't you do it? And now you're old and you're in your deathbed and it's too late. You could have brought me to life. Why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
And that's something that I live by that every day. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, and you embody that for sure, man. You've brought a lot of life to these ideas and these dreams, man. So, well, that's awesome. Well, why don't you give a little plug to kind of what you're doing now? I know that you're doing stuff with the high school down there and coaching those kids, but don't you also do some stuff on the side, like some coaching for kids on the side outside of that as well?
Oh yeah. So, that's one of the things is, it's not a lie when people say teachers don't necessarily, we're not millionaires,
Yeah.
and that's not really what I'm shooting for, but I do have two kids now, Mila and Max, and just to be able to support them, I've had to, kind of expand on my experience and with my talents. And it's like that quote, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah. Right.
And I do live by that as well. And so, along being a coach on campus and being a teacher, I do run youth camps, which it's been doing awesome. Once parents hear the word of me being able to help out their kids and influence them, and the parents know that their kids are in a good atmosphere. There's no bullying, there's no name calling. Kids are learning how to do all kinds of crazy lifts and learning, the fundamentals behind it. It's a safe area. The kids aren't going to get picked on, and because they know I'm going to take care of all the youth. And so I have been able to do some youth camps. And when I first moved here, I thought my first youth camp, I thought I was going to have like 15 kids. But my first youth camp, I ended up having 120 kids signing up.
Oh my gosh.
And this was, the word had just spread in like 5 weeks. And I had 10 kids signed up in the first week. And then by the time my camp started, I had 120 kids.
Gosh, dude.
And so it's real, but I'm passionate about it, and I want to continue on doing that. I love doing it, and I'm happy with what I'm doing.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy about that, bro. I'm happy for you that you're doing something you feel like it's fulfilling your life. That's so great. So, and thanks for being on today, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for telling your story. Thanks for kind of letting us know what it takes to accomplish the things that you've accomplished.
Hey, I appreciate you, Austin, and thanks for anyone else who's watching. And I support Austin 100% in the podcast. And yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Well, that's the story, Neck Nation. It takes grit. It takes hard work. It takes time. It takes being comfortable with risk, right? Kenny's story, what it took for him to accomplish those things. It's an example for all of us, right? And so we'll leave you with that. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, on Instagram. We're on there. Just find us, Neck Roots Podcast, on YouTube, obviously. So if you like this video, be sure to like and share this and subscribe, right? The more people you share it with, the more can hear these messages and feel inspired and get some hope in their life. But we'll go ahead and leave you with that. Thanks so much.